Hey everybody, this is Cami Lewis Levin, and welcome to my masterclass for working moms. 5 simple steps working moms use to overcome overwhelm, to tame anxiety, find balance, and cultivate peace of mind in 7 weeks or less without sacrificing their career or neglecting their children. So let's talk about who this is for. This session is for any working mom who's struggling with overwhelm and balance. I don't care if you're a super busy executive or you're just needing some more me time and some more calm in your life. This training is for you. Over the course of the next 30 minutes, we're going to be talking about how to shut your brain off so you can relax without feeling like you're letting your kids down or feeling any sort of working mom guilt. We'll talk about how to find, protect, and prioritize alone time so you can re-energize even if you have a crazy busy schedule. We're going to talk about how to finally perform better at work and still be home, fully present with your kids. We'll talk about how to give yourself grace so you're super high functioning even when things are out of control, and how to be your whole self and be 100% present so that you can really enjoy your life without distraction. My promise to you during this webinar is to provide a step-by-step strategy to overcome the overwhelm of being a working mom without sacrificing your career. And that includes taming the incessant anxiety that follows you around, finding a balanced, sustainable way of being that you can truly maintain, and really cultivating the inner peace that you're hungry for without having to give up your ambitions and your career. But before we get into all that, I just want to pause and check in with you. Does any of the following resonate with you? Does working mom guilt prevent you from doing real grown-up things like going out for drinks after work or meeting up with friends on weekends or even engaging in phone calls while you're at home? Does your upcoming dentist visit feel like a mini vacation to you? Do you worry that you're one text away from losing your shit? Or perhaps you look forward to going back to work after a weekend with your kids? Or you absolutely hate bringing work stuff home and home stuff to work? Or maybe you spend time looking around when you're at the playground or at birthday parties or even at work, looking at other working moms and wondering why it's so easy for them when you're barely holding it together. My question for you is, are you resigned to running on empty until your kids leave for college? If any of this sounds like you, I have good news. None of it is the real problem. The root cause is actually that you haven't gone through the 5 shifts that I'm going to talk to you about today. But for now, just know this. Once you make these 5 shifts, you will be managing the chaos instead of it managing you. You will be spending more time on things that bring you joy and less time on things that feel obligatory. Your people will feel seen and heard by you. You'll make better decisions because you won't be operating from a state of high alert. You'll be operating from a place of calm. You'll wake up and look forward to the day ahead as opposed to preferring to stay in bed. And you'll know how to recharge your own battery without having to depend on others or making time in the calendar to do it. All right, so who am I? I'm Cami Lewis Levin. I'm a former C-suite leader, now leadership coach. I have 3 children. Their ages are 17, 15, and 8. And I am extraordinarily passionate about supporting and being a fierce working mom. and developing others to be as well. I'm going to share with you today the 5 shifts that I've discovered that can get you from where you are, if any of that resonated with you, to where you want to be. I discovered these 5 shifts after I'd been a working mom for years. I was absolutely exhausted. I was burned out. I was super emotional, and I felt really disconnected from myself and the person that I wanted to be. After reading everything that I could get my hands on in terms of leadership and anxiety and overwhelm, and spending a couple of years in therapy, really working on how to get myself out of the state of constant emergency that I had created in my mind, I developed some really powerful habits that I quickly began using with clients that I was coaching. And after about 7 weeks, the clients who really internalized these shifts were seeing amazing results. The ones who were not internalizing the shifts moved much more slowly to the place that they wanted to be. So, what I discovered was that these 5 shifts are absolutely transformational, and committing to them is the difference between being filled up and being sucked dry. So, here we go. Let me share with you my discoveries. The first shift is believe you are enough. Believe you are enough. All right, it may sound overly simplistic, it may sound reductive, but the fact of the matter is you have been taught that you can be anything, that you can be a super mom, giving 200% at work, giving 200% at home, all while enjoying a perfect marriage and flying off for a girls' weekend with friends. The truth is that super moms are a myth. We can be anything that we want, provided that we make huge sacrifices along the way. And this idea of believing that you are enough is really about understanding that you're human. And being human means that you have limitations. And having limitations is an advantage. Having limitations is an advantage. Believing that you are enough is critically important because you have to start from a place of self-acceptance in order to truly do this work. So it may seem simplistic or reductive, but it actually is foundational. Does that make sense? Okay. It brings us to our second shift. The second shift is about putting yourself first, which is kind of an uncomfortable idea for most of us fierce working moms. And it's uncomfortable because you've been socialized to be a selfless caretaker. And you may think that putting yourself first is a selfish act, which goes against all of the selflessness that you've been taught. But it's actually exactly the opposite. It's a capacity building move, it's a power move. It improves your ability to work and to mom. And the idea here is that it's okay to be selfish. It's actually necessary to be selfish in order to refill your tank and to show up for everyone else. You have to take care of yourself first if you want to take care of others. You have to put yourself first. Can you see how that works? Does that make sense? Now, you might find yourself thinking, believe you are enough, put yourself first. I don't know, this is maybe too obvious to actually work. But these are exactly the types of shifts that could literally keep you from hitting rock bottom and winding up in a hospital. A client of mine, a doctor, and a mom of 3 kids, was regularly pulling all-nighters. Her name is Jody. She was spending, countless hours doing things like making 50 Valentine's Day goodie bags for her kids' classes and, making brownies from scratch for a school bake sale, literally staying up all night like she was in college. And she ended up hospitalized for exhaustion, like specifically. And this was her rock bottom. Unfortunately, she had to hit that place before she finally understood that taking care of herself was mission critical. Perhaps you found yourselves in similar situations or fearing that you'll end up being in a similar situation. And that's why these shifts are so important. That's why I'm bringing this to your attention. This idea of believing you are enough and this idea of putting yourself first are the kind of deepest and most integral mindset shifts that you have to make in order to get out of the black hole that you're in. Which brings us to shift 3. The most powerful way to overcome anxiety, to overcome overwhelm, to find that balance that we're all looking for, and to cultivate the peace of mind that we require is to use the secret weapon, the self-efficacy system. And the self-efficacy system does all of this while also injecting joy, self-confidence, and self-assuredness into your life. And I'm going to explain to you how it works in a minute. But first, let's talk about the ways that you might currently be trying to solve your problem now. And we'll call that the old way working moms generally find balance. So here's a list of old ways that high-powered working moms find balance. 5 a.m. runs, multitasking, pulling all-nighters like my client Jody, meditating in the car because it's the only time you have, wearing workout clothes all day long in the hopes of being able to get to the gym at some point, adopting a fake it till you make it mantra, getting a massage, screaming into pillows, joining a book club, drinking, going on a girls' weekend, sleeping in on Sundays only to wake up being hit in the face with exactly the same overwhelm that you felt before you went to bed. Medication, crying it out, shop therapy. These are what we call the hope and pray methods, which are not efficient in terms of solving this problem. So let me introduce to you the new way, the self-efficacy system. So the new way requires you to think about 3 steps. The first step is notice. This step is about observation. It's about really looking at yourself and your behaviors and your mindset in different contexts, objectively, just totally objectively without judgment. Step 2 is about questioning. It's about asking yourself, what's within the locus of your control? What's outside of the locus of your control? And how does focusing on the locus of your control help you to feel successful and build self-efficacy in those around you as well? And finally, step 3 is about connection. In step 3, we connect the noticings from step 1 to the locus of control from step 2 to really overcome overwhelm, to tame our anxiety, to find balance and cultivate that peace of mind without sacrificing our careers or neglecting our kids. Easy peasy. The self-efficacy system has been used to support high-performing athletes for years. By noticing, questioning, and connecting we can actually figure out what source of self-efficacy, there are 4 of them, is the most reliable for you and how to best leverage it to find the balance that you're looking for all the time. And the reason that the shift is so useful is because it allows you to anticipate the conditions you personally need to feel balanced and successful, whether you're at work or at home, and then be able to actually replicate those conditions that lead to your success across contexts, which makes finding balance, eliminating mom guilt, and generating peace of mind effortless, while simultaneously creating radical long-term change that you'll start to feel really quickly. So let me give you an example of how the case study of a case study and how the self-efficacy system works. I'd like you to meet my client, Tanya. Tanya was miserable. She was burned out. She was angry that she was miserable and burned out, and she was feeling incompetent at work and at home. She was really struggling with the vicious cycle that we all get into of keeping on to keep on and kind of, treading water, feeling like if you stop moving, you will drown. And she got to a point where she was fed up with this notion of running on empty until her kids leave for college. She really wanted to believe that there was an alternate scenario, a better way to live. And when she came to me, I showed her how to use the self-efficacy system. And here's what happened. Tanya was able to take control and write her own story, which made her feel more confident across the board and brought her immediate joy. She was able to find a new well of energy and inspiration because her tank wasn't actually empty at all. She just needed to figure out a more efficient way to burn fuel. She felt successful because she was finally leaning into her strengths. And she could see how her family and workplace ecosystems were benefiting from all of the changes that she was making in herself. And now Tanya is loving life because she's less stressed, she's more present, and she's rediscovered her sense of humor. Her family has noticed how lighter she seems. Her team at work has noticed how easier she is to be around. Her performance has improved at work and at home. And the better she feels, the better everyone around her feels. And in this way, she has optimized her ecosystems, which is the power of the self-efficacy system. Do you see it? Do you see how really working into self-efficacy and noticing and questioning and connecting can really create an opportunity for you to improve not only yourself, but the situations around you? So I want you to take that and bring it into shift 4, which is self-awareness. So in order for this to work, you have to bring your belief that you're enough, your decision to put yourself first, and the self-efficacy system into your commitment to self-awareness. And this is what kind of makes the whole thing work better and faster. The notice part of the self-efficacy system is about taking inventory of your mindset. It really is about that observational, non-judgmental, just noticing. This self-awareness shift is really about analyzing that inventory and creating an action plan. So let's talk about how that works. When my client Rose came to me, she kept saying, I don't understand why everyone is constantly asking me what's wrong. Why do you always look so upset, Rose? Why do you seem so angry, Rose? Why are you always so stressed out, Rose? She really had no idea why people were perceiving her this way. Once she started practicing self-awareness, it became super clear that the way she was coming across to others didn't match the way she felt on the inside. So she was doing things like yelling at people when she didn't mean to. She was making faces when she didn't realize it. And she was doing things like multitasking by looking at her phone instead of looking at the person who she was speaking to. And by becoming aware that she was doing these things, she was really able to lean into the self-efficacy system. And the result was that she decreased the stressful energy that she was unintentionally generating. She began to feel less stressed out. And the byproduct was that the people around her began to feel less stressed out. The energy that she was bringing into her ecosystems was one of calm and peace, as opposed to one of anxiety and hysteria. So the idea here is that in order to be your best for others, you need to be your best for yourself. In order to be your best for others, you really need to be your best for yourself. I just want you to sit with that for a moment and think about whether it makes sense to you. The energy that you bring into the space is just as important as the energy that others are bringing into the space. And you can actually use your energy to diffuse and to de-escalate the stress in your household, the stress on your team, the stress in your workplace, bringing everybody kind of down to a level where really high quality decision making is happening, and there's just a more sustainable, enjoyable way of going about life. So here's the final shift. Here's the rub. All of this is possible only if you are willing to invest in coaching. Now, it is often easier or feels easier to maintain the status quo of feeling overwhelmed and tightly wound and emotionally exhausted, because the idea of change is in of itself totally exhausting. Operating the same way that you've always operated is, it's just the easy way out. It's a cop out. Maybe you feel like you don't have time to devote to yourself right now, or maybe you're scared of change. Everyone is. Change is hard. But the thing is that if you keep going on as you're going on, what you're doing is giving up. You're saying, yep, I'm just resigned to running on empty until my kids leave for college. I am willing to be stressed out, be exhausted, be overwhelmed, and bring that all into my home and into my workplace until my kids leave and I can get my shit together. If in fact that's not the case, and you're no longer willing to continue feeling overwhelmed and anxious and depleted, if you have decided that you really do want transformation and that it's time, you absolutely need support from someone who's been there, someone who can guide you. Because it's about developing new muscles and new habits and a new mindset. It's hard work, but you don't have to do it alone. A coach will actually increase the impact of these shifts and decrease the time commitment. Investing in a coach is an investment in yourself. It's an investment in your family. It's an investment in your career. When was the last time you really invested in yourself? When was it? Today, we went through a step-by-step strategy to overcome the overwhelm of being a working mom without sacrificing your career, without walking away from your job, because it's not about your job. It's really about how you're showing up. We talked about how to shut your brain off so you can actually relax without the guilt of letting your kids down. We talked about how to find and protect your alone time so that you can re-energize even with a crazy busy schedule. We talked about how to finally perform better, both at work and at home, while being fully present. And we talked about these things within the framework of these 5 shifts. This is what you need if you want to win. This is what you need if you really want to transform your mindset about the overwhelm that you're feeling, about balance, and being a fierce working mom. So, shift 1 is believe you are enough. Shift 2 is put yourself first. Shift 3 is to engage the self-efficacy system. Shift 4 is to lean into and practice self-awareness. And shift 5 is to invest in yourself by investing in coaching. So now you have a choice. You can either stay stuck looking forward to going back to work after a weekend running your kids around, being frustrated by work stuff at home and home stuff at work, and by constantly thinking that other moms have their shit together while you don't. Or if you're done with all of that negative thinking, you can decide that you want to manage the chaos instead of it managing you. You want to wake up in the morning and look forward to the day ahead. And you want to know how to recharge your own battery without depending on others or depending on finding time in the calendar. If that's what you want, if that's the choice that you're making, here's how I can help. I've set aside time over the course of the next 48 hours to speak to you personally about how you can apply these shifts to your own situation. Whatever your biggest challenges are, I assure you, I've seen them and I know how to overcome them. On this call, I'll help you create your own step-by-step game plan to help you find balance. And the cost of the call is absolutely free. The call is designed to do 3 things. It's to get you clear on what you're struggling with, what balance looks like to you, and what your action plan would look like to get you from where you are to where you want to be. But there's a catch, and the catch is this offer is not for everyone. All right? So this offer is for any working mom who's struggling with overwhelm and balance, but only if you are willing to do the hard work, you are curious about how you are standing in your own way, and if you're ready for a new normal. It's for women who are learners and for women who are ready to commit to true transformation. I'm doing this because I've been in your shoes. I absolutely love supporting and developing other fierce working moms because I know what it's like and I know what it can be like. And I think, all women deserve to have sustainable lifestyles and feel joy and feel happier way more often than they feel overwhelmed and sad. And I know that you might need or want help in overcoming overwhelm overwhelmedness or taming your anxiety or finding balance or cultivating peace of mind. And I want you to know that I'm here for it. So I invite you to book a call and we can see if it's a good fit. The link is www.camilewislevin.com to apply. And what will happen is you will go to this link, you'll click on a calendar page to see the available time slots, and you'll choose one that works best for you. And then you'll be redirected to a super short application page that will help me prepare for our coaching conversation. And the coaching conversation will be literally the best 45 minutes you've ever spent on making your life easier. And if all of this is really resonating with you and you're still here needing more help to convince yourself that the constant stress and overwhelm is not necessary and radical change is possible, let me share one final case study. My client Jess came to me feeling completely burned out, and I was her last resort between her stressful job, her 2 young kids, and her partner's travel schedule. She was miserable and she was seriously contemplating quitting her job. After doing work with me, she was able to put a very clear and actionable plan in place to de-escalate herself and to quickly begin to identify when she had too many balls in the air. By using the self-efficacy system, she learned to proactively see overwhelm coming from miles away, and she was able to change her narrative before it hit her. She no longer feels burned out because she knows now how to successfully prevent that feeling from happening in the first place. And instead of quitting her job, she was promoted. All right, so I'm going to leave you with that story. It's been wonderful spending time with you. I really hope that this presented you with some new options and helped you think about how to shift your mindset. And I really look forward to talking to you if you've decided to book a call. Thanks so much for showing up. I hope you enjoyed it, and I really look forward to speaking with you soon. Bye-bye.